Hi BookTube, it is Nadine and welcome back to Widely Reading. And today I am going to do the train tag. And this is an original tag created by Alan at Alan's Reads. And it's part of a month-long reading event on BookTube for the month of March called, would help if I could see that, called March on the Rails. And the co-hosts for that are Greg at Ghost Readers in the Sky, Andreea at Infinite Text, what a cute name, and Debs at Rainer Reads Stuff. There are 8 prompts, starting with a book that has something to do with trains, which is what the whole month-long event is, and then followed by a prompt. So the first one is The Great Railway Bazaar, and that's the book, and the prompt is a book featuring an epic journey. So for that, I could pick one of my favorite books, which is called When I'm Gone, Look for Me in the East by Quan. And this is a road trip story, but it takes place in Tibet, and it is the story of 5 monks who are sent to travel all across Tibet to meet with 3 children who have been identified as the possible reincarnation of a recently deceased spiritual leader. And so the monks themselves are an interesting crew. There is twins, Chulan and Mun, if I'm pronouncing their names right. They're 24 years old. Chulan was sent to a monastery when he was very young, when he was like 5 or so, because he was thought to be the reincarnation of another spiritual leader. But he did not like it at all. And when he was about 21 or something, when he got old enough, he ran away into the city and never went back. His twin brother, Mun, is going to be entering the monastery, and he has cold feet, thinking that he may not be worthy enough to do it. There's also Uncle, who is a very senior monk and who is going to be interviewing the children. And then there his attendant, Little Bat, who is a big burly monk who will take care of all the heavy lifting. And also a woman goes with them named Saran, who does the cooking for them. And it's actually a very dangerous trip because they cross all of Tibet. They go to the Gobi Desert. They're in the steppes. They're in the mountains. It's a very large and underpopulated country. And so if they break down in their rattle-trap Jeep, that could very likely happen, they'd be in real trouble. But also throughout it all, one thing that's neat is that you see that Little Bat and Uncle, they are completely composed, filled with equanimity no matter what happens on the trip. The twins are a little different. The twin who ran away, Chulan, he spends most of the trip with his hoodie up and his earbuds in, except he gets inspired when they're able to stop at an internet cafe in his city. And Uncle FaceTimes with the Dalai Lama, and that just blows Chulan away. And then he's back on board. So you get to see all kinds of people in Tibet. It's a very varied cultures and all of that, and it's a terrific trip. And the writing is very nimble, very playful. She does real entertaining things with the table of contents, and I had a lot of fun with it. Prompt number 2, well, book number 2 is Brief Encounter, and the prompt is a brief or short book you could read while waiting for a train. And for that, I'm going to show you the 2 possibilities that I have checked out from the library. And the first one is Women Without Men, which was originally published in 2011 in the Persian by, I'm going to butcher her name, but Shahrnush Parsipur. And I'll read the back since I haven't read it yet. This modern literary masterpiece follows the interwoven destinies of 5 women, including a wealthy middle-aged housewife, a prostitute, and a school teacher, as they arrive by different paths to live together in an abundant garden on the outskirts of Tehran, drawing on elements of Islamic mysticism and recent Iranian history. This unforgettable novel depicts women escaping the narrow confines of family and society and imagines their future living in a world without men. And I found this because it is on the Booker International long list. The next one is a science fiction called The Practice, the Horizon, and the Chain by Sofia Samatar. And I found this because I confused her with Amal al-Mukhtar. But I'm glad I made the confusion because she sounds like a great author. And the description is, the boy was raised as one of the chained, condemned to toil in the bowels of a mining ship and among the stars, out among the stars. I'm not doing a good job. His whole world changes, literally, when he is yanked upstairs and informed he has been given an opportunity to be educated at the ship's university alongside the elite. So, sounds good. Prompt, book number 3 is Bradshaw's Guide, and the prompt is a guidebook to a favorite place or thing. And for that, much to my shock, was I picked Breadsong. Shocked because it's a book, it has some story to it, but it's mostly a book of recipes, and I don't cook. If you come to visit me, I just roast vegetables and plop them on rice or pasta, and that's what you get. But I do bake bread. And somebody gave me this, or loaned it to me. I gotta give it back. But it is by father and daughter, Kitty and Al Tait. And the story behind it is that Kitty was a very bubbly, happy kid all her life, but suddenly when she turned 14, she was walloped with a bout of depression and anxiety. And about the only thing she could do that just helped her function was bake bread. And so she and her father baked bread together. And then they baked so much bread, they started giving it to all their neighbors, and their neighbors loved the bread and, asked for more. And so eventually they have turned it into an actual bakery. And these are their recipes. But in addition to the recipes, you get the story from Kitty and her dad. And Kitty is just a lovely person. In fact, I'm going to read you the tiniest little quote of something that she writes here that gives you the love of baking and of bread. The very first post I ever put on my Instagram was Breadsong. It's a short film of a row of loaves crackling and hissing as their crusts expand after they've just come out of the oven. If you lean in closely to loaves on the cooling rack, being careful not to singe your ear, it can sound like distant applause. That's the magic of bread. And I do love baking bread, but that's it. Prompt number 5. The book is Thomas the Tank Engine, and the prompt is a beloved children's book. And for that, it is Wind in the Willows. I just adored that book. Talking animals get me every time. I just love talking animals. So Dr. Dolittle, the Rex Harrison one, or the Eddie Murphy one, I love them. When things go bad, I go to Dr. Dolittle. All right, next prompt is whoops, I went out of order. So the prompt before the children's book is, the book is Breakheart Pass, and the prompt is a romance novel or western, bonus points for a romantic western. And so for that, I picked My Name is Yip by Paddy Crewe. And for the record, I was going to pick The Heart in Winter by Kevin Barry, which is one of my favorite books that I read, I think, last year. But Angelia at Read and Reread did a wonderful job with it. She put it in her tag. So that was great. And now My Name is Yip. But the two have something in common, which is they are both westerns that are written by Irishmen. And I call this a western. It has the sounds and smells and feels and does everything that western does, but it's actually set in Georgia in the early 1800s. But the diction is there, the Western diction that sounds like the King James Bible, but without any of the grammar. And that's what you got here. And it is the story of Yip Tolroy. And we follow his adventures. It's kind of a picaresque story in a way. And he is a very unusual character. He is I think he's very short. I don't think even grown he gets above 4 feet tall. And he is completely hairless, and he is mute as well. So when he is younger, people just ignore him. He barely exists. And even though the readers, we know what a big heart and what a giant intellect he has, nobody else does until somebody teaches him how to read and write. And then he has a slate that he writes on, and adventures ensue. The next book is The Signalman, and the prompt is a ghost story or horror novel. And for that, I picked Build Your House Around My Body by Violet Kupersmith. And this takes place in Vietnam, and it's a story of 2 women who disappear, one in 1986 and one in 2011. But there are linkages between their 2 stories, and the linkages involve past generations and ghosts and ancestors, and it's a history of possession, whether of land or of people, and it is really intricately woven together. And this is a debut novel, and which really amazed me because the structure of it was so just like such precise clockwork, so intricate, yet not really complex in the sense of it's complicated to read, but just watching the pieces kind of thread through together was amazing. And I can't help thinking that she must have a great editor, because I feel like it had to take 2 minds to figure out all the little details of the puzzle and everything, and it weaves together great. The second to last prompt is Strangers on a Train, a new book that you hope to read this year, doesn't have to be published this year. And for that, I have picked Cuddy by Benjamin Myers. And I have a lot of friends from the UK on Goodreads, and everybody without fail just loves Benjamin Myers, and I've never written anything by him, and they especially rave about this one. So I'm really excited, and it's been sitting on my shelf for like 2.5 years, and I get excited every time I walk by it, but do I ever pick it up and read it? No, something happens. But I am vowing right here that I will read this within the next few months. So what is it about, you ask? I'll read from the back. From the first Viking invaders to a contemporary England defined by austerity, Cuddy spins an unforgettable legend of northern England's past and present from the seeds of historical truth and strange mythology. A novel like no other. So I'll stop there. And Cuddy is, I guess, a nickname for Saint Cuthbert. So it goes over many, many, many centuries, and I'm excited to read it. Okay, last but not least, the book is The Mystery of the Blue Train, and the prompt is a book with a color in the title or on the cover. And I have Pick a Color, which, again, I haven't read yet, but I finally got out of the library. It had a huge line, so that's promising. And I will read a little bit of the front. It says, let's start with this. It's a quotation from the character. I live in a world of Susans. I got name tags for everyone who works at this nail salon, and on every one is printed the name Susan. Ning is a retired boxer, but to the customers who visit her nail salon, she is just another worker named Susan. On this summer's day, much like any other, the Susans buff and clip and polish and tweeze. They listen and smile and nod. But beneath this superficial veneer, Ning is a woman of rigorous intellect and profound complexity. A woman enthralled by the intricacy and rhythms of her work, but also haunted by memories of paths not taken and opportunities lost. A woman navigating the complex power dynamics among her fellow Susans, whose greatest fears and desires lie just behind the gossip they exchange. So that sounds great. The author is Souvankham. I should try to do this before I turn on the camera. Souvankham Thammavongsa. Butchering what I'm sure is a beautiful name. But she also wrote a book of short stories called, oh, you know, I should have looked this stuff up first, called How to Pronounce Knife. That's it. That title alone really got me. So I'm glad I got this one. So we have reached the end of the tag. Thank you everybody for sticking around. And drop me a comment if you have a chance. Let me know what you're reading, what you're excited for, what you just finished. If there's any books you can think of for this prompt. So I guess that's it. Be kind, be well, be good. Glad you're here. Bye.